Hello everyone and welcome to the Young and the Restless channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Nick Newman has a plan to lure Matt Clark out of hiding. However, the man is also addicted to pain pills and fentanyl, so that makes everything much riskier. Could it be that after all these years, Adam Newman finally earns his place in the family as well as the world? Keep reading and let's explore the possibility. Nick Newman's addiction. Let's start off by addressing Nick's addiction. After getting into a car crash caused by Matt, Nick had to have surgery. Sharon Newman mentioned that the man was flying through his pain pills, that is, until he ran out. When Nick ran out, he found a package of fentanyl pills in his jacket pocket. It was from Matt. When they were searching for Noah Newman and Sienna Bacall, Victoria Newman's concerns. Even though Sharon and Victoria Newman suspect what's going on, the Matt situation is a top priority. The villain has a way of coming out when people least expect it. With his taunting messages, it sounds like he's getting ready to strike. The man isn't exactly scared of death or consequences. Victor Newman knows the Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Victor Newman seems to know that Nick isn't quite right. However, Victor is focused on getting the Newman empire back. Then we have Nikki Newman learning about Nick's crisis through Victoria. Nikki might know it will be impossible to get Nick sober right now, not until Matt is found and handled. Nikki knows firsthand what that feels like from her experience with Jordan. While Victor seemed to already guess about Nick, he's also not addressing it. Adam Newman's transformation. Fans have watched Adam go through quite a transformation over the years. However, he still doesn't seem in with the Newman family. Nick and Victoria have lowered their guards, but it's definitely not a sibling bond yet. However, with Nick and Sharon recruiting Adam, there could be a silver lining. During the week of March 9th, Schick gives Adam a task. Later in the week, he returns with information. So this has to be about Matt. However, Adam is also really perceptive. There's a good chance that Adam suspects Nick is addicted. What we see happening is Adam helping Nick handle Matt. Then, after the threat is gone, Adam would be there to help his brother go through the withdrawals and get sober. Going through an experience like that with someone bonds them like cement. There is so much shame, mess, and darkness that comes along with withdrawal. If anyone can handle it with Nick, it's Adam. In the quiet but restless heart of Genoa City, a dangerous game is beginning to unfold, one that could change the Newman family forever. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Nick Newman is preparing to execute a risky plan, a calculated attempt to lure the elusive and dangerous Matt Clark out of hiding. For weeks, Matt has been a shadow haunting the lives of the people Nick loves, always lurking just out of reach, taunting them with cryptic messages and unsettling reminders that he could strike at any moment. Nick knows the only way to stop him is to draw him out into the open, but the plan carries a terrifying complication that no one can fully control. Beneath Nick's determined exterior lies a secret struggle that threatens to spiral far beyond his grasp. The pain from his recent injuries has pushed him down a dangerous path, one lined with powerful narcotics and desperate decisions. And as this high-stakes hunt for Matt intensifies, the question quietly begins to surface. Could this crisis somehow become the moment when Adam Newman finally earns his place within the fractured Newman family? The story truly begins with Nick's quiet battle against pain, both physical and emotional. After a brutal car crash orchestrated by Matt Clark, Nick was rushed into surgery, his body battered and his future uncertain. Recovery was never going to be easy, but what no one realized was just how quickly things would begin to spiral. Sharon Newman soon noticed something troubling as she watched Nick struggle through his recovery. The pain medication meant to help him heal was disappearing far too quickly, the pills vanishing day after day as Nick pushed through waves of relentless discomfort. Sharon could sense something wasn't right, but before she could fully confront the truth, the situation took an even darker turn. When Nick's prescription finally ran out, desperation led him to search through his belongings, and that's when he made a chilling discovery. Hidden inside the pocket of his jacket was a small package containing fentanyl pills, a deadly reminder of the chaos Matt Clark had left behind during their frantic search for Noah Newman and Sienna Bacall. That discovery changed everything in an instant. The pills had been planted by Matt himself, another cruel twist in the villain's psychological warfare against the Newman family. For Nick, already vulnerable and desperate for relief, the temptation was dangerously close at hand. Meanwhile, across town, concern was quietly building among those who loved him most. Victoria Newman and Sharon both sensed that Nick wasn't acting like himself anymore. His behavior had shifted in subtle but unsettling ways, and the signs were becoming harder to ignore. Yet despite their growing fears, there was a far more immediate crisis demanding their attention. Matt Clark was still out there somewhere, and his twisted game was clearly escalating. Matt had never been the kind of man who played by the rules, and lately his behavior suggested something even more dangerous. His taunting messages continued to arrive like thunderclaps in the calm, each one hinting that he was watching, waiting, preparing for his next move. There was a reckless fearlessness in his words, the unsettling tone of someone who no longer cared about consequences or even survival. To Matt, chaos itself seemed to be the goal. Every message tightened the tension around the Newman family like a slowly closing trap. Nick knew that if they didn't stop Matt soon, the damage could become irreversible. Behind the powerful walls of the Newman empire, Victor Newman seemed to sense that something was wrong with his son. Victor had always been frighteningly perceptive when it came to reading people, especially his own family. There were subtle signs in Nick's behavior, small cracks that might go unnoticed by others but not by Victor. Yet even with that suspicion lingering in the air, Victor's focus remained fixed on a different battlefield. Reclaiming and strengthening the Newman Empire had become his consuming mission, a strategic war that demanded all of his attention. The troubling signs surrounding Nick were acknowledged silently but left unspoken. Elsewhere, the emotional ripple continued to spread. Nicky Newman eventually learned about Nick's troubling situation through Victoria, and the news struck a deeply personal nerve. Nicky understood addiction in a way few others could. She had faced her own demons in the past, and she knew how merciless the battle could become once it truly took hold. Part of her likely realized a painful truth. This might not be a fight Nick could win right now. Not while Matt Clark remained out there, threatening their family and pulling every ounce of Nick's attention toward revenge and justice. Nikki had lived through similar chaos during her nightmare with Jordan, and she understood how survival sometimes had to come before recovery. Yet even as tension tightened around the Newman family, another story was quietly beginning to take shape, one centered on Adam Newman. For years, Adam has walked a complicated path within the Newman dynasty, constantly trying to prove that he belongs. He has changed in many ways over time, evolving from the ruthless outsider he once was into someone striving to do better. Still, despite that transformation, the bond between Adam and his siblings has never fully healed. Nick and Victoria may have lowered their defenses somewhat, but the deep trust that defines true sibling relationships has always remained just out of reach. But now circumstances may be creating an unexpected opportunity. During the week of March 9th, Nick and Sharon, often referred to by fans as Chic, turned to Adam with a specific task. It's a moment that carries surprising weight, a sign that they're beginning to rely on him in ways they once never would have imagined. Later in the week, Adam returns with valuable information, suggesting that his mission was directly connected to tracking down Matt Clark. The situation places Adam right in the center of the crisis that has been threatening the entire family. And Adam, perhaps more than anyone realizes, has always possessed a sharp instinct for reading people. There's a strong chance he will quickly notice the troubling signs surrounding Nick's behavior. The exhaustion, the subtle desperation, the telltale patterns that hint at something deeper going on beneath the surface. Adam has lived through enough darkness himself to recognize those warning signals. He may not say anything immediately, but the realization could begin shaping his next moves. What begins to emerge is a powerful possibility, one where Adam becomes the unlikely ally Nick needs most. Together, the brothers could work to bring Matt Clark down, confronting the threat that has cast such a long shadow over Genoa City. But the real transformation might happen after the danger finally ends. Because once Matt is gone, the battle Nick faces will be far from over. Addiction doesn't simply vanish when the external crisis fades. And that is where Adam's role could become truly meaningful. Standing beside Nick as he faces the brutal reality of withdrawal would not be an easy task. The process is messy, painful, and filled with moments of shame and vulnerability that few people are willing to witness. It exposes every raw edge of a person's struggle, dragging hidden darkness into the light. But if there's anyone capable of facing that storm alongside Nick, it might be Adam, the brother who understands brokenness better than most. Shared suffering has a strange power to forge unbreakable bonds. When two people walk through the same darkness together, something changes between them forever. The walls that once separated them begin to crumble, replaced by something stronger and far more permanent. If Adam truly helps Nick survive this battle, both the fight against Matt and the fight against addiction, the experience could reshape their relationship in ways no one expected. And for the first time in years, Adam Newman might finally feel what he has always wanted within the Newman family. Not suspicion, not distance, but belonging. As the tension surrounding Matt Clark continues to tighten its grip on Genoa City, the stakes grow heavier with every passing moment. And Nick Newman finds himself walking an increasingly dangerous line between determination and self-destruction. His plan to lure Matt Clark out of hiding is bold, calculated, and deeply personal. But the secret he's carrying threatens to undermine everything. The pain medication that once helped him recover from surgery has slowly become something darker, something far more controlling. Each pill offers temporary relief, a brief moment where the throbbing in his body and the pressure in his mind fade into silence. Yet those fleeting moments come with a cost that Nick can feel growing heavier with each passing day. Beneath the surface of his determined mission lies a man fighting a battle no one else can fully see, a battle that grows more dangerous the longer it remains hidden. Meanwhile, the Newman family continues to circle around the growing storm, each member sensing the tension but not yet seeing the full picture. Victoria Newman watches her brother carefully, her instincts warning her that something is deeply wrong. Nick has always been strong, the steady center of the family in many ways, but lately there's a strange restlessness in his behavior that she cannot ignore. His focus is sharper than ever when it comes to Matt Clark. Yet there are moments when his eyes seem distant, clouded by something far more complicated than anger or determination. Sharon Newman notices it too, though she struggles with the painful uncertainty of what it might mean. The two women share quiet glances filled with concern, but neither of them is willing to push too hard just yet, not while Matt Clark remains an active and unpredictable threat. Across town, Victor Newman continues waging his own war, his attention focused on reclaiming and strengthening the Newman empire. Yet even as he maneuvers through corporate battles and strategic alliances, Victor's instincts remain as sharp as ever. He senses that something is off with Nick, subtle changes that others might overlook but that Victor cannot ignore. Still, Victor remains silent for now, choosing to watch and wait rather than confront the situation head-on. Perhaps part of him believes Nick will regain control on his own, just as he always has before. Or perhaps Victor understands that the family's immediate priority must remain the same, stopping Matt Clark before the man's reckless chaos claims another victim. While the family struggles to maintain control of the situation, Nikki Newman faces the painful realization that history may be repeating itself. When Victoria Newman confides in her about Nick's troubling behavior, Nikki feels a familiar knot of fear settle deep in her chest. She knows the signs of addiction all too well, having faced her own devastating battles in the past. Nikki understands something that others in the family may not fully grasp yet, that forcing someone to confront addiction in the middle of a crisis rarely works. Until Matt Clark is found and the danger surrounding them is neutralized, Nick's focus will remain locked on the mission ahead. Nikki recognizes that painful truth because she has lived it herself during the terrifying ordeal involving Jordan when survival had to come before healing. Yet, as the storm surrounding Nick continues to grow, another quiet transformation is beginning to unfold within the Newman family. Adam Newman, long considered the outsider among the Newman siblings, suddenly finds himself stepping into a role no one expected. For years, Adam has carried the weight of his past mistakes, forever trying to prove that he deserves a place within the powerful but deeply fractured family he was born into. His relationship with Nick and Victoria has always been complicated, layered with years of betrayal, rivalry, and unresolved pain. While the hostility between them has softened over time, the true bond of brother and sister has always felt just slightly out of reach. But now circumstances are creating a rare opening for something new to form. When Nick and Sharon approach Adam during the week of March 9th with a task connected to Matt Clark, the moment carries quiet significance. It isn't just about gathering information or helping track down a dangerous man, it's about trust, something Adam has rarely been offered by his siblings. Adam accepts the assignment without hesitation, throwing himself into the investigation with a focus that surprises even those who asked for his help. As the days pass, he works through contacts, leads, and hidden connections that might reveal Matt Clark's next move. Then, later in the week, Adam returns with crucial information, proof that his efforts are already paying off. But Adam's sharp mind doesn't stop at uncovering clues about Matt Clark. As he spends more time around Nick, subtle details begin to stand out in ways that others may not yet recognize. Adam notices the fatigue in Nick's posture, the slight edge in his voice, the moments where his concentration seems to flicker unexpectedly. Having spent years battling his own inner demons, Adam understands the language of hidden struggles better than most people. It doesn't take long for a troubling suspicion to form in his mind, one that Nick himself may not even be ready to admit yet. Adam begins to suspect that the pills Nick has been taking to manage his pain may have already crossed the line into something far more dangerous. Rather than confronting Nick directly, Adam chooses a quieter approach. He focuses on helping his brother bring Matt Clark down first, understanding that the immediate threat must be eliminated before anything else can be addressed. Together, the brothers may find themselves drawn into a tense and unpredictable hunt, working side by side in ways they never have before. Every clue, every lead, every moment of progress pulls them closer not only to Matt Clark but also to a new understanding of each other. The rivalry that once defined their relationship begins to fade into the background as they face a common enemy. And when that enemy is finally defeated, when Matt Clark's dangerous game finally reaches its end, the real battle for Nick will begin. The withdrawal process waiting on the other side of addiction is brutal, filled with physical pain, emotional breakdowns, and moments of crushing shame. It's a journey that many people are forced to face alone, abandoned by those who cannot handle the darkness that comes with it. But in this case, Nick may not have to walk that path by himself. Adam, who understands the weight of personal demons better than most, could choose to remain at his brother's side through the entire ordeal. There is something uniquely powerful about two people confronting their darkest struggles together. The process strips away pride, ego, and long-held resentments, leaving behind only raw honesty and fragile trust. As Nick fights his way through the painful stages of withdrawal, Adam's presence could become the anchor that keeps him from sinking completely. The nights will be long and difficult, filled with moments when Nick questions whether he has the strength to keep going. Yet with Adam standing beside him, refusing to walk away, the impossible might slowly begin to feel achievable. And through that shared struggle, something remarkable could begin to take shape between them. Years of bitterness and distance may finally give way to a bond forged in the most unlikely circumstances. The experience of surviving both Matt Clark's threat and the harsh reality of addiction could tie the brothers together in a way that nothing else ever has. By the time the storm finally passes, the Newman family might discover that the person who helped hold them together wasn't the son they always relied on, but the one they once struggled to trust. For Adam Newman, it could become the defining moment he has been searching for his entire life. Not a victory built on power or strategy, but one built on loyalty, compassion, and redemption. And for Nick Newman, the road to recovery may ultimately lead him to something he never expected to find: his brother standing firmly by his side, proving that sometimes the strongest family bonds are forged in the darkest of battles.